This is a continued discussion from the previous episode of Nose to Tail, a podcast where we explore the world of aviation lifecycle solutions, insights, and more. Presented by Jet Midwest.
So you were talking about technology. I mean, you've only got 1 year in, but if you're going to differentiate yourself, continue to have this unique path that you're on, what are you guys planning on doing? Is it going to be a technology play? Is it, maybe help our viewers and listeners understand like what's really going to be different with Oyster Aero in 2030?
Sure.
And what's that going to look like?
So anything to facilitate a transaction, and we have a subscription model, but we also do we kind of customize the way that we work with a supplier. Everybody can be different. Parts and packages are listed, people bid, and then we kind of put you guys together. So we're going to continue building out document transfer, document checking, those kinds of things. AI, of course, is coming into play. I mean, that's a buzzword that everybody's using, but when it comes to, manual processes and recommendations and all that, we're looking pretty heavily into, automation of those things. Now, the thing that I will say is, it's always like, well, when are houses going to be bought online? You still have to do the realtor and go see the house and all that. We're kind of comfortable letting e-commerce, storefronts, all that kind of go ahead of us. And the reason is when you do packages, as you've got a negotiation back and forth. Sometimes things when you start pulling parts are included, not included. You find certificate discrepancies. You may have physical inspections. That's going to be really hard to move in a fully e-commerce thing. So, if we were selling a bunch of light bulbs and washers and nuts, I would say, we probably need to get a credit card swiper and start allowing for the transaction. But we're building out around those processes just to help get deals streamlined and done further. So
that's good. So I ask all of my podcast guests what their favorite aircraft is and why. And it's a fairly broad question because there's lots of ways to answer that question. But I'd be curious, Jeff.
757, hands down. Always has been. You get those engines roaring and that nice vertical takeoff that can happen even fully loaded. I've just always loved that airplane for sure. And I would say hands down, and then probably 777 after that. So,
well, you're talking my kind of game because 75 has definitely been my call out the last couple of years. It's been a great historical aircraft for our company and our growth. The customer base is. I was very lucky. It was a very North American base at the time when we got into the marketplace and made some great relationships. The United, Deltas, FedEx, UPSs, DHLs, and then we expanded, and all of a sudden it's we're at Iceland Air and Jet2, and so that was a great career boost. But it's a great airplane to tear down. It's very robust,
right?
And both two different engine types that are fairly equally serviced out in the marketplace. So I really have enjoyed that as in my career. I think that was the first time I really got my personal expertise in that aircraft happen. That was really the first one I really felt like I had a grasp on. So I too enjoy that particular aircraft type.
Well, good.
So from a career or maybe not a career, tell me a little something, what else do you want to kind of talk through? And what we need to talk about, Jeff too. So listeners, Jeff also has a podcast.
That's right. We have the Oyster Aero Pearlcast.
And I was lucky enough to be a guest with him, and I'm sure you guys will see that episode, so be sure and like his and subscribe to his page as well. But tell us, so with you, Oyster Aero's been around for 1 year, and you jumped right into the podcast game. That took me 25 years, so you're going much faster. You're in that speedboat. So what prompted you to jump into the podcast business?
Honestly, a couple different things. What I find is there's very few podcasts like this where you get to know the person, get to know the company. There's so many webinars on, the outlook of the CFM 56 market and, and all that's important. But me launching this business, I kind of like entrepreneurs. And everybody that we've had on there has been involved in starting a company or reimagining a company, and so I like that as far as the stories go. I always ask questions like, well, what did you get through that you look back today and laugh, but at the time it was just harrowing, so I like that, and the market likes that too. A lot of people, like when we're walking around MRO, people will be like, "Oh my gosh, I saw your podcast. You had Abdol, and I saw we've had everything from GA Telesys, Abdol, to Smart Cert startups. I mean, we kind of cover everything in between. Jet Midwest as well. I think it's just really good because there's so much innovation, and corporate careers aren't what they used to be. They used to be, very secure and all that. And so my hope is that anybody watching us kind of live, at least take a shot, and
Yeah.
if you have that itch, just go do it. And we like our podcast series to be around that so you can kind of learn and see some examples of people that have made it and some things that they learned, that kind of thing.
During COVID, um, I worked from home every day.
Yep.
And uh, the world was, it was really a scary time. And we were scrambling to say, what ways can we generate revenue in this new environment any way we could? And for months and months, so 15, 16 hours a day, every day, from the time I woke up till I went to bed, our teams were working on, what can we do? And we tried and we tried and just tried everything. It was, it was you will try or you die.
Yeah.
And one of the things I discovered, I started following Gary Vee. I don't know if you know who Gary Vee is.
A little bit, yeah.
So he's an influencer, and he started, I think wine.com
Okay.
was one of his first ventures. But he's just an entrepreneur, and he's a bit of a wild man. But he talks very frankly with people, and one of his messages to everybody is, and he's a super positive guy, but he's like, time is on your side. And you talked about, wow, I should have started earlier. He goes, no, you're fine. Time is on your side. You have plenty of time to turn this into something special, because momentum really is, you're driving a speedboat. You're going very fast.
Yeah.
And, your numbers will be multiples of what they have been in the last 12 months. They'll be multiples of that very shortly.
Sure.
And that's exciting stuff. And you're correct. Everybody should be out there. They should try, because if you put that effort out there, all the things we tried, I could tell you, none of them worked.
Yep.
None of them. We ended up with the same model, but we learned some things about our customers, and we were able to actually create a couple of programs coming out of the COVID that we could walk back to those operators and say, remember this idea that we were hatching together? There's a version of this that will work.
Yep.
And both of those programs kicked off, and now we're duplicating those as frequently as we can. And so to your point, yeah, everybody needs to get out there. They should try it. And being an entrepreneur, doing something on the side, it doesn't matter what it is. You love playing the guitar,
Get out there and start doing
get out
it.
there
Yeah.
and go find a street corner, go find a pub. I'm sure there's some folks out there that would do it. I was recently in Ireland, and a young band walks into the lobby of the hotel after traveling all day. It's 10:30 at night, and they're going to check in, and they literally went into the bar and just started playing music and lit the place up. They're like, well, what's going on? And like, well, we have a gig tomorrow night, and we just got here, and we just want some beers. So they got free beers from the crowd, and got to sit there and play some lovely Irish music. And they turned everybody's night into something special. So
That's awesome.
a bunch of young people just said, let's just go do it.
It wasn't Bono, was it?
It was not. I think combined all their ages might be Bono's age.
Yeah,
It was a
exactly,
fairly
right.
young group.
Uh,
But it was a great time, and it was great to see young people out there just making something. Just literally, they got on a bus and went, and going to have a gig in a city that they're figured out.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's if nothing else, one, you always have the itch, but you can kind of scratch it a little bit by trying it and seeing if things work. And I will say, I always say this, that there's been marketplaces that have come and gone, and I think the industry was almost kind of sick of the same thing coming out over and over again. And everybody has been really receptive to this because I think it does breathe a little life into some new things. And so I would say I've had very little, no, we're not even going to talk to you or anything like that. I mean, I did have one guy say, we don't have any surplus. And I said, all right, I'll talk to you in 6 months, Fitz. Come on. But, the industry has been awesome. I mean, you all here, likewise, and it's so great to have people that are at least willing to hear you out. And our opening question is, hey, you have any surplus? And easy to walk up to a booth and say that. So it works, and everybody has it, and different organizations have different policies. But there's 10,000 suppliers on the 787. I think I heard at Boeing at some point, and from manufacturing all the way through to airlines and everything in between. I mean, the opportunity to generate cash for people. And then, if you're into sustainability, it's, if you're not scrapping stuff, that's good, and we can keep it flying. So, there's a little of that too.
Well, I certainly, and I know we talked through your background fairly quickly, right? But, having a nice diverse background, I think people, listeners really would, having an OEM centric background, plus you did an MRO, component level MRO,
Yeah.
plus you worked with GCAS Parts, which is, a massive parts company. What platform did they use for their, internally? Were they in Quantum?
They had a homegrown system.
Homegrown system.
Yeah. But it's AirCap. I mean, it's the largest leasing company in the world.
Right, and parts is plenty.
Yep.
I mean, the hundreds of thousands of parts that GCAS shed when they bought the Memphis Group.
Yep.
I mean, it was massive. And again, I fed off of that. I was in my little sweeper, cleaning up all the dust particles I could. So your experience is really great and really applies very effectively to the companies like what we have. And I know I'm looking forward to my team being able to capitalize on what you guys offer, because again, it's part of who we used to be. I don't say it's gone. It's just not our focus. I think
Sure.
you guys really are going to be able to supplement our revenue and help us with some, maybe even the planning side of.
Yep.
I'd love to be able to answer you and say, no, I don't have any surplus, because my friends over at Oyster Aero help me monetize it. And that would be a beautiful answer to you next year.
Yeah, that'll be good. And we're, I recognize that that's not the most important thing for every organization, but that's why we're channel partners. We're doing the work for you and trying to keep eyes on it while you guys are focused on, full steam ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, do you have anything else you'd like to talk about or add? We're just kind of wrapping up here.
No, this is great. Thank you for having me, by the way.
It's been
And
a
your
pleasure.
setup here at MRO is pretty impressive. So
Well, I appreciate that. I was talking to somebody on while we were waiting for our Ubers yesterday, and I was lamenting. He's like, "How long have you been doing this?" I said, "Well, what do you mean this?" There's been in aviation for over 25 years. I said, but I hit my first trade show was in ACPC in 2005. I bet my first MRO was 2009 or
Yeah.
10. I didn't have any idea really what I was doing. And so it's been a wonderful growth. And this is our third year of having the podcast here at the booth. And it's been a tremendous thing for everybody to see. And it's been a great experience for me to get in and be able to dig into people and really, again, have that conversation, because this really is people connecting people. And I love the podcast as well for that same reason.
yeah, it's always a relationship business. So
Yep,
all right. Well, thanks for having me.
absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I appreciate Jeff being here. Oyster Aero is going to have an exciting future. I can definitely tell. We'll all be watching. Be sure and like and subscribe to our page and to Jeff's page, and enjoy all of our podcasts in the future.
Thank you for listening to our podcast, Nose to Tail. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Presented by Jet Midwest.